Just remember to include your audio whenever you've got that little thing taken care of. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's race in St. Lear 13. A bit of a mistake on my end and a massive series of hiccups on Twitch parts and the game's parts mean that we're going to have a long wait until we actually get this race properly started up. I do deeply apologize for that. The big thing to consider, though, is that now everyone has nothing but fresh tires available to them in the race. Real quickly, I want to go ahead and talk about the championship standings as they are right now. As I go ahead and I bring up the results real quickly here. Last week, it was a very unexpected victory. Schumacher ended up taking the win after game pole in a very controversial way. Controversial enough that he ended up getting a qualifying ban, so your leader in the championship will be starting near the back of the grid. But when it comes to the overall standings, once again, we're going to talk about the manufacturer standings first. At the bottom, AlphaTauri has 52 points. Ninth is Mercedes with 72 points. There is a tie for seventh between Aston Martin and Williams. They both have 81 points each. Sixth is Alpine with 87 points. Fifth is Haas with 90 points. Fourth is Alfa Romeo with 101. Third is Red Bull with 175. Second is Ferrari with 293. And leading is McLaren with 306 points. In the Drivers' Championship, things are starting to change a little bit, but more things change, the more they all stay the same. 16th is XRL Boothby with 10 points. 15th is Imperium SG with 12. There's a tie for 13th between XRL Snake and Mercedes AMG. They both have 20 points each. 12th is Golminator 2361. He has only 24 points thus far in the season. 11th is Higgs Boston. Boston has 32 points. 10th is Eggity. He has 34. 9th is AK Herbie with 33 points. 8th is XL Dave with 49. 7th is Collie Boy with 52. 6th is Plastic Love with 53. Fifth is XO Flavor with 69 points. And then we get into your championship contenders. Mantic Meerkat is a very, very distant but still possible fourth, 115 points. Third is XO Zola, who closed in on second a bit. He has 167 points at the moment. Second is Herbago 91 with 191 points. And leading is XRL Schumacher, or MSC SF7. He has 224 points. So coming into this race, there is a 33-point swing in the favor of the Ferrari with about 10 races left to go in the season here. As we're preparing to get onto the track itself, again, big thing to consider, full wet weather race by the looks of it. So anyone who's not starting on the front row is going to be absolutely flying blind today. I'm reminded in the full season that was run in, well, not the full season, but the truncated shorter season that was run in F1 2020. Similar circumstance, it was a full wet weather race at the start. Despite that, there was only one DNF early on in the event. The rain cleared up in 6 laps, but it was most of those 6 laps were run under safety car because of constant incidents. When they finally got running green, it was actually a relatively good race. And then the very last lap in Sector 2, there was a massive 8-car accident that cut us from having what would have been 13 drivers finishing to only 6. So, yeah, even if we just get out of rain early in the race, that in itself isn't going to change the fact that there is a high likelihood that we could still see not very many drivers finishing this race. Also, last game, when they ran here, there were only 5 drivers, 6 drivers, but I believe one of them got DQ'd post-race, running at the end of that race. And in that one, I'm going to bring it up. I know you don't normally like me bringing it up, but I've got to bring it up because it really highlights the nature of this circuit. Shikari, you had a massive 20-second lead, and then with 4 laps to go, you crashed coming out of the final corner. You could have made points. If you just made it one more lap, you could have made points. But that kind of goes to talk about, oh, and we're already getting underway. Well, I'm going to be honest. I'm glad you didn't escape. I do value your time. I do value your position here with me in these events. You're normally able to see things that I don't. You kind of have a more calm and reserved way of looking at things. Ooh, Meerkat's not going to be happy about that. A small change in the back. It looks like in the end, Meerkat's now been dropped behind Schumacher overall in the final lineup. Oh, okay. Oof. Well, the big thing to consider, though, is that now Meerkat is in a position to directly hamper and try to give problems to Schumacher at the start of this race. Again, Meerkat has said a few weeks ago that he's not going for any more wins, he's not going for anything else. He's saying his entire season just on focus on trying to get around and try to hamper anyone who would challenge Herbago. So it's a two-car operation. Meerkat is very solidly in the second position, and he is going to compromise anyone he can to help out Herbago. I would not be surprised if what Meerkat tries to do is he tries to get a jump here and back up Schumacher and keep Schumacher out of the points-paying positions here, while on the other hand, Herbago is able to walk away with what will likely be an easy victory here. But survival is going to be the name of the game, and on a completely soaked track, it's so soaked you can actually see full puddles having formed. I mean, we could see who knows what could happen, honestly. This is going to get very interesting, to say the least. And for the McLarens, they normally have been running extremely low wing setups. You don't want to be trying to do that in wet weather conditions. So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. Again, in a race, you only ever get five full course safety cars in total, and this is one of a few tracks, Catalunya being another one, and then Monaco, if it worked, being another one, that, you know, it's very easy to have more than 5 yellow flag instances. So we could see a lot of yellow flags early on, then the field gets spread out and just kind of picks themselves off one by one here. All right, riding on board with Dr. Phil at the start. 4 lights, 5 lights. As lights out, away we go, and Flavor gets a drive-through penalty on the start here, and Herbago easily sails away. Look at that, there's 3 and they're 4 wide farther back in the grid. The Alpines are gonna cut the Aston Martins. Fantastic job there. Oh, but that is an absolute mess near the back of the grid. Meerkat, oh wow, and that's 2 cars. That's a Mercedes and Aston Martin who have gone. That's Herbie and Elliott who have both had an accident early on in the event. And Perrin looking at the outside, Meerkat has gotten ahead of Schumacher, and that is going to be a virtual safety car here. But Meerkat has already worked his way up into 13th, and Schumacher has already worked his way up into 14th. Now the thing is, does Meerkat push to try and get into the points-paying positions, or does he just back Schumacher up to the drivers behind? Again, no DRS is going to be available until the start of lap 3, and even at that point, it's only going to be on that short, almost useless back straightaway. So, and then you add on to that, we're in rain, so there's no DRS just because of that as well. Every overtake you're going to see is going to be either the driver ahead made a mistake, or the driver behind is simply a better driver. The good news for, I will say this, good news for Flavor potentially. Flavor will be able to serve his drive-through penalty, I think, coming to the line here, and although it will drop him out of the points-paying positions, he'll be able to serve it and will be able to run in some clean air for some time. All right, so at the front, Herbago's already gone. He's got paging Dr. Phil in second, trying to hold off Dragonborn. Born's going to go to the inside. Is this going to be it? A full 100% driver skill overtake going into turn 1 on the restart. They're still side-by-side as they come around turn 1 here, but it looks like Dr. Phil has the advantage for the moment. Meerkat already is up into the 10th position right now, so the McLarens are absolutely flying at the moment. And no! Born's gotten by Phil! Dr. Phil got caught off guard in a braking zone, and Dragonborn is by him. And now the Red Bulls are running 3rd and 4th. I think Zola at the moment is faster than Dr. Phil. The setup that the Red Bull has may favor Zola more in these wet conditions. I gave the option to include the audio, so... Okay, you're including it now. Alright.
I am now.
At the front, Herbago has already stretched out a more than 2-second lead at the moment.
Yeah.
Farther back, Gulminator can see Snake right ahead of him, but there's not really a whole lot of active overtakes going on. Meerkat has gotten himself into the points main position in 10th. Schumacher is currently 12th, caught up behind Dave at the moment, and doesn't seem to be able to get around the Alfa Romeo right now.
Andrew Bravo sets the fastest lap at 26.6.
Oh, wow, Herbago, big twitch out of turn 1, though. He's just lost a huge chunk of time in the process. He went from having a 1.6 second advantage to now it's just a 6/10. So Herbago, absolutely the fastest man on track, but I think they still have a low aerodynamic setup on that car, and now Herbago is a little low, and Herbago is out, and second place in the championship has crashed out of the race. And second place in the championship fight has crashed out of the lead of the race, and that is a full course safety car.
Wow, that's massive. Just before that, we saw I think it was a Williams driver span, and just after that, Herbago crashes out. Wow. MSC up to 10th, Mantic up to 8th. This is perfect for the Red Bulls. 2nd and 3rd currently. Everything going to plan for them so far.
Do you think you'd be able to send Herbago a party invite real quickly? Because the game's not letting you try that.
Yeah.
Good news though for Flavor, Gulminator, Herbie, and Elliott. Gulminator had a really bad restart. Flavor had to serve that drive-through penalty. He's now caught up into 14th. Herbie is there in 16th, and Elliott is in 17th. So, in a few laps, absolute travesty in the championship fight. And for Zola, this is great news. He may be able to claw back into 2nd, and with Schumacher currently locked back there in 10th, Zola could also start closing down on the championship gap as well.
Yeah, he could. So Dragonborn in his first X3 race is leading the race here under the safety car. Elliott down in 17th, not raced for a long time, but he's on his way back. Gulminator pits. If he needs, I don't know if he needs to or not. But they are changing. Are they changing his wing? Yeah, they're changing his front wing. He doesn't have one.
Yeah, like I said, he had a really, really bad start that dropped him through the grid, and it looks like he took not a little, but significant front wing damage in the process. Now, the good news for him is that Herbie and Elliott had also already pitted, so he's not going to be that far down compared to him. In fact, Gulminator actually will have slightly fresher tires. But it's a shame because Gulminator had a respectable run in qualifying, but it's all kind of come undone. In fact, if you look at the entire grid as a whole, already we're just 4 laps in and the entire field's been shaken up. Meerkat's gone from last to 8th. Schumacher's gone from 17th to 10th. Dragonborn started 3rd and is already up into 1st. Herbago started on the pole and he is now dead last. And I think the problem there is that they may have run that extremely... Yeah, I think for Herbago... Now, I can't say for certain because he's not joined the party to talk, but I think what may have happened there is they were trying to run the super low wing setup, and they didn't properly adapt for the rain, which is kind of a shame because Herbago absolutely had a good 5 minutes to adjust his setup in the lobby restart, but very unexpected here, to say the least.
Yeah, and I think in the new game, in the newest update as well, the safety car only stays out for 3 laps. No matter what happens. So it does 1 full lap, and if the drivers are quite spread out, it'll stay out another lap, and then it's coming in no matter what. So if you're running at the back and trying to catch up, you've got to kind of catch up pretty quick nowadays. Otherwise, you may be stuck.
Also, all this yellow flag, all this yellow early in the race means that everyone should be good on fuel to the end simply with that in mind. So this will be a significant benefit for just about everyone involved. Dragonborn out here leading right now, paging Dr. Phil. So a pair of newbies now lead the field as one of our top X3 drivers stuck in the middle of the grid and the other one crashed out early. And Zola, 3rd position, is in a great position to close in on the title fight now. This could really blow the championship wide open because I don't know how many more positions Schumacher's going to be able to gain. Again, he's not been able to get by XRL Dave, but we've also not had very many properly long runs under green.
Indeed, indeed.
All right, there's the word officially. Safety car is coming in this
Right,
lap.
then here we go. Keep an eye on Dragonborn. Make sure he does not speed up, then slow down. That he sticks to.
Oh, there's been an accident. There's been a multi-car accident in the back of the grid. Flavor's involved, Imperium's involved, Agony's involved, Herbie's involved. A bunch of drivers out of the points main position have all had some accident coming to the green. And Bourne is still keeping the field backed up here.
He's going to go right to the line. He's going to Bottas it. He hasn't gone yet. And he's gone.
Yeah, he goes now. Phil lays on the power.
Gone.
Irons has to pit. Irons has had damage somewhere. He has to pit out of the top.
All the way to the back of the grid for V8 Irons.
Boothie gets by Higgs. Boston has had an incident, and there's been several other drivers that have an incident. This has got very problematic for the midfield.
It's too wet.
Yeah, it's too wet to have any proper actual racing here unless you're in the top 2 or 3 positions. Everyone from about 4th on back has no grip, and they don't have any vision as well. Meerkat has worked his McLaren up into the 5th position, and Schumacher is now in 7th, but he's still caught behind XRL Dave.
Herbie overtakes Flavor for 10th. Next on his hit list is Boothie.
And Boothie is being held up by Collie Boy at the moment as well. Oh, and who's that? That's an Alfa Romeo that's gone off, and Dave's gone off on his own. Now Schumacher is up into 6th.
And Mantic and Schumacher have done a really good job of climbing through that field very, very quickly. They could be on course for a podium or even better. There's been another incident, I think, with Elliott slowing down.
Agony lets Imperium and Higgs by. I think he's taking damage on his car as well.
Oh, we've got a driver off Imperium.
Oh yeah, Imperium, real bad news for him. This will drop him near the back of the grid, but at the front is still Dragonborn with Paige and Dr. Phil running behind them. They're both laying on the ERS, and they've actually been pulling on Zola and Snake down the straightaways. Mantic Meerkat's kind of off on his own, and Schumacher is actually closing down on the number 2 McLaren driver. So for Meerkat, there's no Herbago. Now they need to do complete control. Meerkat needs to do everything he can to keep Schumacher behind.
Yeah, there's not much between them. Just looking a bit further back, we've got Cooley and Boothie having a bit of... Boothie is all over the back of Cooley Boy, and he's actually going for an overtake round the outside there.
He's got him.
Has to be careful.
Yeah, but he got him. Outstanding job, and now already Boothie is working on Collie Boy. So the Alfa Romeos also seem to be struggling. Oh, Herbie! Big twitchy! He's off onto the circuit.
And he's going for it.
Woo! And Boothie's going to break.
Past.
Yes! I can't believe we're seeing overtakes and tracks, parts on the track. Big twitch, big slide. Oh, it's a stack up. Herbie runs into Flavor. Herbie runs into Collie, and Flavor runs into him, and now Flavor has significant front wing damage. And Elliott has crashed out.
And now there's another safety car. What is happening?
It's too wet to race. God. That's what's happened.
Very entertaining, this. For those of you that enjoy a lot of action, this is very, very entertaining. Not necessarily the best racing, but lots of mistakes being made by drivers, meaning that a lot's happening.
Great news for Flavor, though. He'll be able to pit right at this. All right, coming to the party now is Elliott823. Elliott, go ahead, include your audio. What took you out there?
My right foot. It's wet. It's a mess.
All right, well, I do have to ask, in your opinion, do you think it is too wet to be racing, or do you think all these incidents are just drivers need to get good?
Yeah, probably the latter part. It's wet. At the same time, yeah, I think you can't really see anything. A lot of brake checking going on, so yeah, it's disappointing.
Oh, and Higgs Boston's jumping on the areas. All right, thanks for jumping in and talking with us. It's a shame to see you taken out like this. Do you think you'll be able to recover next week?
Yeah, if I can race, that'd be great.
All right, well, that's the word from Elliott. Thanks for jumping in, speaking with us. We are now down to 16 drivers. Most interesting, though, in 13th position, Higgs Boston now on the intermediate tires. He's going to be buried in the back of the grid, but the question is going to be, can he make these intermediates work? Again, intermediates under normal circumstances will be faster than the wets, but the track is still very deeply soaked. I don't know if this bet's going to work out in his favor. At the front, though, it is still Dragonborn, paging Dr. Phil, XRL Zola. So 2 newbies lead the grid with Zola third in the championship, looking to close by a massive amount. Snake is hanging out in fourth. Mantic Meerkat is in fifth. Schumacher, SF7, is in sixth right now. Dave is in seventh. Boothie is in eighth. Collie ninth. Goldminator 10th. That rounds out your point-paying positions. Agony is 11th. V8 Irons is going to jump up, catch up to the field in 12th after he pitted out of the top 5 on the restart. I think he may have ran to the back of a Red Bull. I couldn't tell for certain. Then there'll be AK Herbie, Extra Flavor, and Higgs Boston has had an instant. Actually, Higgs Boston has already had 2 instants. So even under safety car, the intermediates cannot get to grip. So the move to jump on the intermediates has not worked. Higgs Boston is likely going to have to pit to jump on the wets again because he can't keep the car on track and he's fallen to the back of the grid.
Maybe a little bit too early, but who knows? By the end of the safety car, it could be a really good strategy call if it's drying up.
I don't think it's drying up. I'm right on board with the drivers, and it looks just as wet as it already was.
And yeah, he does come back into the pits.
I don't know if Higgs is going to be able to properly catch the rear of the field because right now, Higgs making his second stop. I don't think he's going to get a chance to catch the rear of the grid. It's just going to be a matter of, okay, well, when does Imperium catch up? Oh, and Irons has just had the penalty for a collision with Eggity. And now Flavor's backing off, so maybe Flavor may have had an incident that caused that, but now Irons has a time penalty, and the front wing of that car is destroyed.
We'll have to pit then. But he'll serve the 5-second penalty in the pits as well. So he's definitely jumping to the back of the grid.
I think Flavor may have damage on his car as well. Imperium, it looks like he's okay for the moment. No word if we're going green this lap or not.
No, we're doing one more. I think this was lap 2 anyway, so one more lap.
Well, all this rain under safety car is going to basically mean that everyone's going to be kind of even. Everyone's going to be significantly overfueled here.
Yeah, and there's no way to burn it off.
So there's Eggity. He'll now inherit 11th as Irons has to pit. And no, Irons, I don't think Irons will be able to serve his 5-second penalty right now because we're under the safety car.
Yeah, he will. He'll just stop. Yeah, they're 7 it.
Oh,
they just don't work for 5 seconds. And I don't know why Dragonborn is getting so close to the safety car here.
I think he's anxious to get going. I think he's got that new driver anxiety attack going on right now. The only thing that's really helping him, though, is that the driver in second, who is Dr. Phil, is also a new driver and will likely be dealing with the same thing. This could work out positively for Zola. He's a veteran. He's experienced. Now, I'm sure he doesn't want to see his new teammate crash out, but I'm sure he would have no problem with Dragonborn, you know, overspinning the car on a restart and crashing out right in front of them. And then another thing, another veteran, that's Snake, who's right there in 4th position as well.
Tell you what, Snake's having a good race, isn't he? I don't really see much of him, and yet he's up there.
Snake's had a lot of respectable runs that have just kind of gotten derailed near the end of races, but right now, if we continue to run all these laps under safety car, that won't be an issue. But also, we've run so many laps under safety car early on in this event, we may again see an event where at the end of the race, the field is super spread out because there just won't be any more safety cars allowed to be thrown.
Yeah, well, maybe. The one, maybe, is it one more that we're allowed?
We're allowed a maximum of 5, and this is our second one at the moment.
So
yeah, and this is our second one at the moment because VSCs don't count to that limit. All right, so Dragonborn bunched up the field real deeply until they came out of the banked corner last time. Does he do the same time this time around? And Eggity's had an incident, and Eggity has gone off and is now falling back to the back of the grid. All right, and Born gets the launch, and Phil is already laying on it, and Eggity has crashed again near the back. But look at this! Snake, Meerkat, Schumacher to the inside, he'll make it 3 wide! Meerkat's on his outside! Schumacher on the inside, contact between the two! And Schumacher is by both of the McLarens now! Meerkat needs to nail this corner so he can try and cut back against Schumacher! Not happening! Schumacher is now up into 4th position, and Snake has fallen all the way to 6th, swamped by 2 of the title contenders.
Next for Schumacher is Zola. Zola and his teammate Dr. Phil are doing really well, just controlling 2nd and 3rd place. They're going to have to depend a little bit from MSC very, very shortly, because even though he says he's not quick, he really is. He really is quick.
Experience is everything at the moment, but right now the top 3 are kind of in their own zip code, and paging Dr. Phil has moved aside to let Zola pass.
Yeah.
So a bit of a championship play there. Phil moves aside to let Zola pass, and that will help Zola out in the title. Imperium's had another accident, and that car is beached on a curb. Imperium is beached on a curb.
Now, if he's beached, he can reset to track if he wants to. Oh, there we go. Sorted.
Dragonborn now has a 1-second gap right now over Zola, but now Dragonborn has an experienced driver that is behind him that will try to run him down.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the only time you're allowed to reset to track here is if you are beached on a curb, because
Golminator, Dave, side by side out of the turn 1 hairpin, and in the end, Dave will just barely keep it ahead. Golminator sends it into the banked turn 4, side by side as they go into the banking. Golminator washes out wide, but Dave is not able to put the power down. The track is too wet on the inside. Golminator now up into 8th. Well, even though the Red Bulls have swapped positions, it does not seem like Schumacher is closing on them any quicker. At the moment, Schumacher is still in 4th and not really in a position to make moves on Dr. Phil or Zola at the moment. Everyone is just kind of in a moment of, you know, hey, gotta drive to survive right now. Flavor is right in 12th position, right there behind AK Herbie. Herbie is being backed up by the 2 Alfa Romeos just ahead. And getting onto that back straightaway, everyone drives right over this gigantic puddle of water that really compromises their ability to do anything. Zola's closing down Dragonborn, though. Zola got within 2/3 of a second there. I think the Red Bull has a better aerodynamic package. Dragonborn may have a car that's better for straight lines, and Zola has a car that I think is better in the brakes.
Catching the corners, losing in the straights. And without DRS, it's really difficult to get close enough to try and overtake. But Paging also doing a really good job of keeping MSC behind him. Both going a similar pace.
Herbie has just gotten by Collie Boy in turn 1 now, so Herbie now goes into the points-paying positions. And mind you, Herbie does have a small advantage. He pitted earlier, so he has technically fresher tires than everyone ahead of him right now.
Herbie is only half a second behind Dave. Herbie found a bit of pace here since the safety car.
Yeah, those fresher tires definitely give you a small advantage that accumulates over the laps. Now, it's not as massive an advantage as if everyone was on softs or mediums or something. Flavor has just gotten by Collie, who's gone off, and Eggedy has just gotten by Imperium. Eggedy and Imperium have been having an absolutely horrendous day today. At the front, though,
Zola there's a yellow flag. I'm not sure
at the
why,
front,
though.
Zola has caught Dragonborn. He is within half a second of him. But again, Dragonborn opens up the power coming onto the straights. And neither of these drivers are really touching their ERS right now. Imperium has just had another instant in the same part of the track where he beached himself at. Yellow flag, full course safety car.
Another one. Another one. Deary me. This
And
is
Dave,
really awkward as well because the safety car is right there. So none of
Dave,
these drivers really can pit.
Yeah. Dave is going to be able to pit, though. Dave rushes into the pits, and I think they may be trying to repair damage potentially on that car. Nope, it's just a normal pit stop. So
yeah,
Dave
he'll
gets
be going
onto
to the
another...
end then.
Yeah, those tires, if you pit now, the tires that you are on will take you to the end of this race.
I'm not sure how long wet tires go, you know.
Well, with all the yellow flags we've been running, couple that with the fact that everyone's cars will be slightly lighter, I think you should be able to make it to the end. Eggity and Imperium also get a chance. And Snake's crashed out! And under the safety car,
no.
Snake has crashed out! And there's a multi-car accident there, and Snake is out of it! And Golminator has a penalty for a collision with Boothie as they were trying to avoid it. And Snake has crashed out under the full course safety car.
It's a safety car. You don't have to go full throttle.
There's no grip out there. I don't think I've said it before. I'm gonna say it again. It's too wet to be racing, and then because of that, your driver. Because this is the 4th different incident we've seen under the safety car thus far. I think it's too wet.
That's down to people going too fast. They need to slow down. It's a safety car for a reason.
Yeah, but if you're running 60 miles an hour on the track and the car still doesn't grip up and it's still sliding off out of your control, what are you gonna do?
I don't mean Snake. I mean other drivers who are just pelting it to try and catch up. It's out for a minimum of 2 laps. You don't have to rush. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to rush the car to the back of the train.
But you said it yourself, everyone was already properly caught up there. Mantic Meerkat's going to jump into the pit, so he's going to bet that he can jump onto tires and run these tires to the end of this race. And he's not the only one. Boothie's jumping in, Golminator's jumping in, Collarboy's jumping in. The big thing, though, is that all these drivers who are pitting now, they're going to be stuck near the back of the grid. And Meerkat actually has wing damage, so Meerkat ran to the back of Schumacher at some point, and he has wing damage, is actually going to end up behind. So now the number 2 McLaren driver is out of the points paying positions. And look at this, Flavor, who has been involved he jumped the start, and he's also been involved in several instances himself. Flavor is now up in the 6th place. This has turned into a massive windfall for the Ferrari team. The only team who's in better position right now than them are the Red Bulls. And here's the other thing, Herbie is now in 5th, and Herbie has been the fastest man on track because he has some of the freshest tires, so Schumacher now has to worry about that Mercedes running behind him.
Should be in next lap, I think, this safety car. Gonna have a look at the.
I don't think we're gonna go green until. Yeah, we're not gonna get to go green until lap 17.
And you know what? Rubago currently has the fastest lap, and he's DNF'd. So the fastest lap at the minute will go to Zola with a 26.6, and outside of the top 10, it's going to go to Mantic Meerkat with a 27.0. As it stands.
Well, we've been losing cars piecemeal throughout this event, but we've run so many laps under yellow flag as well that we've not really torn through at the moment. But if we get a long green flag run and we run out of safety cars, again, this is our 3rd safety car right now. If we run out of safety cars to the end of this race, there's a possibility that we may see a lot of single car accidents dropping people out. I'm not confident that we're going to have all 10 drivers running at the end of this race because every single lap I'm seeing at least 2, if not 3 accidents happening around the circuit.
I think we need to. I think they need to calm down a little bit.
I think the track is just too wet to be properly racing at, honestly. And honestly, this gives the biggest advantage right now to Dragonborn and XRL Zola because they're at the front. They have no one spraying their cars, so they are able to best adapt to the field. Everyone from 3rd on back is absolutely in a pain, and I think that really speaks a lot to both Meerkat, who went from last all the way up into 5th at one point, and Schumacher, who's gone from 17th to 4th. Their ability as top drivers in the series absolutely unquestioned, considering that they are the only drivers outside of, to a lesser extent, Herbie with a tire advantage, to make moves on this soaked wet circuit here. So for Zola, he's running 2nd. 3rd in the points coming into this race, but his closest rival in the points, Herbago, has crashed out, and Zola might be able to leapfrog him into 2nd and put himself back into a talk for championship contention here. Pace car coming in this lap. Dragonborn is going to bunch the field up again, but Zola is a wily old fox. He's experienced. How does Zola react to Dragonborn?
Well, let's find out.
I imagine Dragonborn's going to do the same thing. He's not going to go until they get off of the banking. Zola is right there behind him instead of being off to the side. Now he pulls off to the side. Green flag is
gone.
underway. Oh, and
actually,
Phil got the
Paging
better run.
jumped.
Yeah, Phil got the better jump, but Phil had nowhere to go.
But
Oh, and here comes Schumacher. And Herbie.
No.
And there's a lot of contact. And the Red Bulls all on top of each other. And the Red Bulls both go out. And the Red Bulls crash each other out. The Red Bulls crash each other out.
Whoa, Paging, what are you doing? Oh my days. Don't reverse there.
And Paging now has a drive-through penalty for his collision with Eggity. We're still green.
Yeah.
And the Red Bulls have taken each other out. And now it's Herbie who is in second. And Herbie might be fighting for a potential victory here. Schumacher survives somehow in his third. Flavor has also survived. He's now in fourth. And the Red Bulls took each other out.
That's a lack of experience from Paging. He needs to be more careful in future.
Golminator gets by Meerkat. Meerkat fights back on the outside. Really hard to make proper overtake stick here in Sector 2, but Golminator is going to stay ahead of Meerkat, and Full Course Yellow is now out on the circuit.
Another safety car.
And the I cannot believe what I saw. The Red Bulls had been working so well, trading off each other in qualifying. Paging Dr. Phil moved aside to let Zola get a shot earlier, but on that restart, Zola did not get a jump as good as Phil. The two of them were side by side, and Phil did not back out of it, and he took out himself and Zola. And he's fortunate right now that both those drivers are able to keep running. And right now, as I'm looking on the track, everyone near the front is going to stay on the circuit, so no one is pitting near the front of the grid. You don't see someone pitting until you go all the way down to Zola, who's going to have to repair damage to his car. Imperium's going to have to pit, and obviously Dr. Phil will have to pit as well. But the Red Bulls, who the race was basically in their hands, it's now over. Now it is Dragonborn, who is by himself, but he now has a driver on fresher tires that will be pressuring him.
I mean, it's not all over for the Red Bulls. We're only halfway through the race, remember?
Oh my gosh, you're right.
We're only halfway.
And this is our fourth safety car of the day, so we are rapidly running out of safety cars that can be thrown. That one, I'm not going to say that was yellow, but here's the thing. Coming down to turn 1, Zola did not have a great run, but Dragonborn didn't have a great run either. The thing is, Dragonborn defended the inside. Dr. Phil had a run, but had nowhere to go. So everyone in the top 3 was all kind of bunched up. That let Herbie get a great run, Schumacher get a great run. They were 3 wide nearly for a third position going into turn 1. Schumacher backed out of it. Herbie took an extreme wide line, so that's not the same as backing up, but he took an extreme wide line to maintain his momentum, but also go ahead and not be involved with the Red Bulls. The thing is, the Red Bulls ended up still being side by side coming out of turn 1 because Zola had entered on the outside, which is the wider line around, and Phil was on the inside, which is the quicker way around. Phil ideally should have backed out to let his teammate go back through if they're still playing the teammate game. Instead, Phil put the power down, and the car kind of twitched, and he didn't. I know he probably tried to save it. No one's going to intentionally wreck into your teammate, but Phil overestimated what he could do, and he ended up spearing right into Zola and took both of them right off the circuit. And they're lucky that both of those Red Bulls are still able to run, and Higgs Boston is paying out of the 5th position now. So is Higgs going to try and jump on the intermediates again? Yes, they are. They're playing on intermediates. That's the second time they've tried for Boston.
In the Twitch chat, CMP saying that Dr. Phil said that he outbraked himself into turn 1.
Ah. That's even worse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better, but it's also worse. But at least, although he may have outbraked himself, Phil did not hit Dragonborn. Because can you imagine the chaos if 2 rookie drivers end up taking themselves out right at the front of the field on lap 1? If you ran to the back of that lead Haas and turned them sideways there, that would have literally been the entire field funneling into a brick wall. We got extremely lucky that what happened is what happened, and we didn't have a complete track blockage incident there in turn 1. All right, so
and
at the
Zola
front of the
says
field,
as well that Zola says that he overtook him before the line. That's why he was in front.
Oh.
So
all right. Well, we're about to go green flag here on lap 20.
Bit.
Dragonborn's strategy of not going until they're out of the banking has worked out well for him every single time, mainly due to everyone else behind just kind of making a mistake. But yeah, how will Herbie respond to Dragonborn's late go to the line?
Let's see what he does here then.
Also keeps an eye on Higgs Boston, who is in 14th and is now on intermediate tires.
And actually, he goes and Herbie Wise to it is well, not quite side by side, but a lot cleaner this time.
Meerkat's gotten by Gulminator. Gulminator fighting back though, but Meerkat's already passed farther back in the grid. And now Meerkat's already making a move on Collie as they're going to be side by side as they get into that bank corner. Flavor is kind of backing up the
back of Cooley.
Irons now gets ahead of Boothie. Big twitch by Dave. He's going to back up Boothie a bit. Irons is right there as well. Contact behind. Gulminator into the outside wall. Knocked off by Collie. That promotes Zola back into the points-paying positions, though. Another big slide by Dave, though. And that's going to let Boothie have another run at it. But Dave jumps down on Boothie. Irons is faster than both of them, but can't get by them. The track's not wide enough. Bourne is already more than a second ahead of Herbie on the track.
Zola all over the back of Cooley.
Paging Dr. Phil has also worked his way back up into 12th as he has gotten by Imperium and has the run. He's going to out-drag Eggity down that back straightaway, so the Red Bulls are getting back into the points-paying positions as fast as they can right now. Oh, and Imperium! Gulminator runs right into the back, and Gulminator's lost the weight after running right into the side of the AlphaTauri. And Boston has completely fallen off the pace. The intermediates still do not have what it takes to grip up properly. And at the front, it is Bourne, Herbie, and Schumacher. Herbie has completely lost touch with Dragonborn, and he is now trying to defend against Schumacher. Now, Herbie has significantly fresher tires. That's how he was able to get by Schumacher. Although he was on the outside, he had more grip. Now Schumacher, though, on older rubber, is trying to pressure Herbie into maybe making a mistake. Boothie right there behind Dave at the moment. Boothie definitely faster than that Alfa Romeo, but can't seem to get by him right now. Paging Dr. Phil gets by Collie Boy farther back in the field.
Zola and Paging 9th and 10th. A little bit further ahead. Boothie is only 3/10 behind Dave. Well, 8/10 now.
How's he going to try and get by the Alfa Romeo? The Alfa's been competent in the straights, but he's been making giant mistakes in the corners, particularly where sector... yeah, that's not where I've normally seen the mistakes, but he's made a big one. Oh, he's really twitching, really all the way sideways. Here comes Boothie. He's got to run. This should be it.
Late braking from Dave.
Imperium's crashed out. Down the main straight, Imperium has crashed out. And his car is nearly blocking pit lane entrance, but we stay green for the moment. And Dr. Phil and Gulminator also pit as well to repair damage, so they may have been caught up in whatever happened there.
V8 is overtaking Dave, goes into 6th.
And Dave falls behind Irons as well, and now it's Meerkat and Zola who will be pressuring him.
And he goes off track. Meerkat tries to go for the move, and he goes wide again, and so does Zola actually this time. So Zola goes wide as well.
Well, the cream is still rising to the crop. For the most part, the absolutely fastest drivers are able to make overtakes. But other than basically your top 4 in the championship, along with Dr. Phil and
it looks
Bourne.
like.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's not raining as much. It seems to be slowing down a bit, which is maybe why we're seeing a few more mistakes from drivers as the wet tyres obviously lose traction and the track gets drier. Lose grip,
At the moment,
the track gets drier.
Yeah, at the front right now, Dragonborn 2.9 seconds ahead of Herbie. Herbie is laying on the ERS on the main straight, and that seems to be just about it. Schumacher behind is lower on ERS than Herbie, and Schumacher also has less tire life than Herbie. The thing is, though, in Schumacher's favor, he doesn't have to push to the win here with his closest title rival back there out of the race, and his next closest back there at 8th. This would be a great point stay for the Ferrari team. He doesn't need to push to get to the front.
Take the podium as it stands, if you can't overtake anyway. Saying that, the gap is only 8/10, so who knows what will happen. And Herbie has dropped off a lot now from the leader in Dragonborn. The Boothie is right behind Flavor.
Yeah, Boothie actually has pace. That I think Boothie is probably the second fastest man on the track right now, based off the fact that he has only 8-lap worn tires. Meerkat's just gotten by Irons back there down the back straightaway. Now Irons is clapping back using ERS and will deny the braking zone to Meerkat, but Meerkat is absolutely fast enough to get back into the top 5 positions. Oh wow, Irons squeezes Meerkat on corner exit, but Meerkat will accelerate past him now.
I feel like these two drivers have a history together as well. I'm not sure if I'm remembering correct though.
Schumacher laying hard on the ERS.
Fastest lap.
Yeah, oh wow, Schumacher had a big
wide.
run. Wow, Schumacher had a massive run, and there's Boothie, and Boothie hits Schumacher and spins. Oh wow, Boothie's coming back round to the track. Be careful, mate.
He's got to be very careful here. He's got time now to do it.
Well, now Flavor is suddenly ahead of Schumacher on the circuit.
Dr. Phil's 3-second penalty.
We stay green. Does Flavor move aside to let Schumacher pass? Or does Flavor go ahead and try to make a move on Herbie? Herbie is way slower than Schumacher, but he's able to defend very well against the Ferraris right now. Golminator has crashed out.
Has crashed, yeah.
And that's coming out of the final corner. Is that going to be a full course yellow? No full course yellow. We stay green.
Shouldn't be.
Oh, he's
right
in the racing
on the main
line.
Straight. Yeah. Dear, oh dear. Dear, oh dear. The gap now 6.3 seconds. And the Ferraris are just stuck behind her. We can't do anything about it. And Dragonborn is just getting away. 12 laps to go. We are 3/4 of the way through this. Are we 2/3, sorry, of the way through this race.
Oh, big twitch by Herbie coming into the bank corner, and Flavor has a run. Flavor has a run, but he's not able to keep it up coming out of the final corner. Did Herbie?
And MSC pits.
So Schumacher pitting. I don't know how good of a strategy this is going to be.
Needs to try something, goes on to intermediates. Yeah?
Ooh, I don't know if this is going to be a good move or not, though. Meerkat is now in 4th, and Flavor is in 3rd.
And Zola is back into 6th place. He's coming back up the field pretty nicely, with V8 Irons in front of him, half a second.
Well, Flavor does not seem to have the pace to bring the fight to Herbie, so although Herbie is definitely slow, he is now more than 8 seconds behind Dragonborn. There is, without a doubt, no way that Flavor seems to be able to get by unless Herbie makes a mistake. The big thing is going to be Mantic Meerkat, the number 2 McLaren driver, now facing off against the number 2 Ferrari driver for 3rd on the grid. Meerkat's almost completely burned through all of his ERS at this point, while Flavor still has full ERS and Herbie still has about half of his own. And when you don't have DRS enabled, ERS kind of becomes the only way you can try and outrun someone to a corner.
And Zola actually getting a great
Dragonborn's pitting out of the lead. So will Herbie stay out and hold on to the lead? Could Herbie try and make these tires last to the end? No. Herbie is coming in at pits. Flavor's coming in at pits. Meerkat's going to stay out. And Meerkat has tires that are young enough. I think Meerkat could make it to the end. I think we're going to see another McLaren victory today.
But it's time for intermediate tires.
But he has a giant gap. The next closest person will be Dragonborn, and Born is going to have to worry about traffic. And Schumacher is buried now in 8th position. No, he's going to be in 7th. He'll just barely be ahead of Herbie on track. So Schumacher, paying a lap earlier, will move him ahead of Herbie. But now Schumacher again has to make his way through a lot of slower cars. Dragonborn, though, is in 5th on intermediates. And he may have... I think Meerkat's got this one. I think the gap Meerkat has on the field will be big enough that he'll be able to stay ahead.
That's unless he has to pit, because look, intermediate tyres, Higgs Boson.
Boys may have
lap of the race.
V8 Irons may have mistaken. Boy goes back by. So despite making so many mistakes this far, Boy is now fighting for a potential podium position. Dragonborn is there behind V8 Irons.
Now we see what these drivers can do, what Dragonborn can do on track when he has to overtake someone, when he has to attack a little bit.
Yeah, Dragon's not had to properly fight all day. He started 3rd, ended up 2nd after Dr. Phil had a bit of a not-so-great start. And speaking of Dr. Phil, yeah, Phil's just had an accident coming into the banked corner.
Zola pits, Cooley pits, Dragonborn pits.
No, Dragonborn stays out. It's Irons who's pits. So now Dragonborn...
Irons, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so now in these final 10 laps, Dragonborn has to try and run down Meerkat, and Schumacher is now just at the fastest lap of the race.
Zola comes out in 7th. Cooley 8, V8 9. Out the pits.
Boothie is now set the fastest lap.
Yeah,
Incredible.
the track's getting quicker.
And
The
Meerkat
track is getting quicker.
Can Meerkat maintain this lead to the end? Meerkat's been charging his ERS back up as Dragonborn is trying his best to run him down.
Now V8 alongside Cooley. Why is he... Oh, no. That could have been a lot worse.
Somehow we still have
traction.
Somehow we still have 13 drivers on the track right now.
V8
Dragonborn
Irons.
is chunking apart
Dragonborn.
Meerkat's lead. Meerkat's lead is now down to 6 seconds at the moment.
Meerkat is still on wet tires as well. And now he goes into the pits. So Mantic pits from the lead on wets. Dragonborn will get past Diggity. Oh my god.
Oh, Eggity's had an accident out of the final corner. He's able to keep it straight,
skidded.
and he's able to continue, but Eggity has to pit. His tires have no more life. And Schumacher is now in 2nd.
Yeah.
So can Schumacher try to do anything to Dragonborn before this race is over?
And Zola moves into 6th. Next up for him will be Mantic. About 4 seconds the gap though.
And Herbie, throughout all of this, is in the podium position, so Herbie could still walk out of here with a podium. That would be incredible.
And we've still got 8 laps to go as well. Still a long time left in this race.
Fight for 3rd is alive. Flavor is there behind Herbie. The big thing, though, is that Flavor has time penalties for speeding coming into the pit lane. Dr. Phil has now just set the fastest lap of the day. Back there in 13th, all by himself. The gap at the front seems to stabilize at about 6 1/4 right now. If anything, it looks like Dragonborn is able to pull just a bit on the straights, and then Schumacher closes slightly into the twisties. The worst part is I know Dragonborn. I've raced with him a few times in Forza, and I feel kind of bad because I'd love to be able to hear what he would say as a first-time winner, but 1, he's on PC, and 2, I don't think he has a mic, so it's not going to work out. We're not going to be able to hear from him, but yeah, Dragonborn setting sail right now to a win in his first start in X3.
Yeah, on the
Mostly up the back.
Dave had a little wobble again, and that's letting Boothie through. Up to 9th is Boothie now.
Boothie is having a strong race. It's just kind of a shame that he's made a lot of overtakes today. The problem is that Boothie's just not been able to get quite to the front, and then the one time he did, he made contact with Schumacher and spun himself out. So he's basically on the ultimate recovery drive right now.
Yeah, he is. A little bit further up, Cooley and Zola are having a bit of a battle. But yeah, Dragonborn's just gone, hasn't he? And once again, we see Schumacher having to chase. It's like the third or fourth race in a row where we've seen that, where Schumacher has got a bit of a gap that he's got to catch up. But this time, they're both on the same tyre, whereas normally Schumacher would be on the quicker tyre. I'm not sure whether he's going to be able to catch.
No, he's not
laps.
catching. The gap is opening between first and second, lap by lap. It's opening. I think Schumacher has a better overall car, but Dragonborn is running in clean air, and I think he's running lower winds because that seems to be where he's gaining the most of his time on the straights. So I think it's just kind of a scenario where Schumacher is chasing another driver who's just so much faster in the straights, there's nothing he can really do as long as they're in clean air. And that's the thing. Dragonborn right now is running in clean air, but Dr. Phil is back there in the 13th position, and if Phil has any instance, he may end up holding up Dragonborn here.
Yeah, maybe. I think, well, the gap's too much really for. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the gap might be a bit big between those two. But Cooley keeping up with Zola pretty handily here. I mean, another mistake, and that's.
Eggedy just gotten by Dave, so Eggedy now goes into the points pay position. Dave's trying to fight back on the outside, and Dave's back into 10th now.
Yeah, he's all right.
Dragonborn is setting times in the 121.5. The absolute fastest men on track are Dragonborn and Dr. Phil. They are faster than everyone else despite being newer.
It's a shame that Dr. Phil's at the back and that they had that the two Red Bulls had that little accident, because I think Dr. Phil could have really pushed. Oh well, he's off track there. But I think that those two could have really had a fight for the lead. Edigitty looking to come back at Dave, but he's a bit too far behind.
So the field finally nice and spread out for the most part, and just kind of everyone fighting their own battles at the moment. Big thing to take note of, Flavor is in 4th, Meerkat is in 5th, but Meerkat will get by Flavor at the end of the race just due to time penalties right now. But this is still going to be great news in the Manufacturers Championship for Ferrari right now. Both of their drivers are in the points. Only one of the Red Bulls and only one of the McLarens are in the points main positions right now. Also, Meerkat has basically is burning through so much of it. Oh, and that's Higgs. I think Higgs has had an instant. Yeah, Higgs has gone off and has lost his tires, and he's spun again. It's taking him a long time to get going, but Higgs has completely lost his front wing. Eggedy continues to run behind Dave on track, but can't seem to figure out a way past. Flavor has lost touch with Herbie, and Meerkat can see Flavor ahead, but I don't know if Meerkat's going to be able to charge past that Ferrari. Again, Meerkat's basically out of ERS pretty much, while Flavor still has half it in his reserve, but Flavor has been slower on pace thus far. The gap at the front is now 9 seconds. So as long as Dragonborn doesn't make a mistake, he's going to walk off with this win. I'm sure Schumacher, if it comes down to just a few points at the end of the season, Schumacher is going to be kind of kicking himself here because he's like, man, I was ahead of my closest championship rival and I still couldn't win the race.
Yeah. But second place is 18 points more than what Herbago's getting today.
Yeah, Herbago's only going to walk out here with 1 point. Yeah, Herbago's only going to get 1 point for the pole position.
Oh yeah, for pole he will, but not for anything else.
Another fastest lap, 21.2 for Dragonborn.
And that gap is now 9 seconds, and a yellow flag, that's Edigitty.
Yeah, Eggedy is finally spun, trying to get around Dave for good, so I think that will close that battle. So right now, the big battle's on track. Goofy, you can see Irons ahead. And then not too far away from them is Collie Boy still trying to work on Zola as well. And then also Meerkat now tucked up behind Flavor. Can the number 2 McLaren driver get by the number 2 Ferrari driver?
see. See, the gap is only half a second. And Mantic should really be getting past on the straight. But then again,
but he doesn't
Flavor,
have the ERS though.
That's the only issue. How much? Yeah, whereas Flavor's got over 50%. So
Again, Meerkat's still going to
could
finish
be.
4th overall, but that in itself, he's still going to be an overall net loss for the McLaren in the Manufacturers Championship. Another fastest lap, Dragonborn 121.2.
Yeah, he's just having fun out there now. Like time trial for him. It's just like time trial.
He needs to be careful and not overdo it here. Zola is backing up Collyboy now to V8 Irons and Boothie, so we may have a 4-way fight for 6th through 9th here shortly.
Yeah, we might.
Oh, Collyboy briefly goes off circuit there, so he's losing Zola, and now Collyboy has to deal with Irons behind him, and then Zola loses time again in the braking zone. So it's like an accordion effect in that fight from 6th to 9th.
Yeah, but the times are still pretty close together. That's what I meant to say there. They are still close together, so there is
Two
still a
laps
fight
to
here.
go at the moment.
Excuse me. Apologies.
Yeah, Zola is really slow entering the corners, but he's great gain on the power in the straights by the looks of it, and that is the only thing that's going to keep him in this position. Irons has more ERS than both of the drivers ahead, but he's not able to get alongside either of them to make a run at, and Boothie is in a similar position to Irons right now. Also, Eggedy has caught Dave again for 10th. So despite spinning out earlier, Eggedy is catching Dave. He might make the last 2-lap shot as Zola has made a big mistake. Here comes Collyboy with the run. Can't make it stick.
I can't. And he's trying his hardest to get that position.
He's just mirror driving him all over the racetrack right now.
But, yeah. I think Zola's thought, well, I ain't catching Meerkat. I'm just going to have some fun with Cooley for a bit.
Here comes Irons. Irons dives to the inside of the Alfa Romeo.
Wow.
He's by. And Irons has a lot more ERS than Zola, so he may be able to match Zola down the straight. White flag is in the air. 11-second gap for Dragonborn, so as long as he just doesn't make a stupid mistake on this final lap, he's going to walk out of here with a win in his first start. Irons not able to close down on Zola enough. Both of them lay on their ERS, and Zola nearly out at the end of the straight, but he stays ahead of Irons. Now Boothie putting the pressure on Collyboy for 8th.
Indeed. And V8 then, the gap is half a second. Zola only has 6% ERS. V8 has 27% now. So he's going to be on his. He's going to be catching. Oh, he's already caught, but you know what I mean.
Collyboy trying to clap back, coming out of in the middle part of sector 2 as they come onto that back straightaway for the last time. Across the start-finish line, Dragonborn will take home a victory in his first ever race.
Dragonborn wins. Wow.
And Schumacher will come home second, and this will massively extend his lead in the points. And Herbie, of
result
all
for Dragon Ball
drivers,
that is.
Herbie is going to come home with a third-place finish. Outstanding run by him.
Yeah, man. Dragonborn, hats off to him. He's had the perfect race here. The
Meerkat will come home 4th on penalty countback. Flavor finishes 5th. Zola will come home 6th. Iron 7th. Collie Boy 8th. Boothie in 9th. Dave in 10th. Eggity is in 11th. Dr. Phil is going to have to round out the field in 12th.
Oh, and from start to finish, ends with a spin there. Lovely stuff. 11th place for him, and Dr. Phil, who is coming around sector 3 now. Oh, and he's spun.
Either way, the race is basically over. Again, we're not going to be able to talk with Bourne, sadly, so I'm going to go ahead and try to talk with Schumacher and Herbie once the event... I actually might as well try and talk with them both now, if I can. All right, and coming in the party right now is our 3rd place finisher, a.k.a. Herbie. Herbie, the game says driver of the day, and I absolutely have to agree. You come home with a 3rd place finish, making more overtakes than anyone except for a title contender. What do you have to say about that day, Herbie?
My God, what a day that has been. Jesus Christ. It's been amazing. I didn't think I had the pace that I thought I had, obviously, because I didn't get to qualifying. But when I got my foot down and concentrating on the circumstances that occurred, because there were a lot of incidents that happened, it did help me really progress through. But for the fighting throughout the pack and getting to where I was, I'm over the moon, absolutely over the moon with the conditions that we had.
All right, outstanding drive, mate. 3rd place finish. Now the question is, do you think you can replicate this next week at Monza?
I really do hope so. I really do hope so. We'll see, but yeah, fingers crossed we can at least get another podium out of this weekend.
Outstanding drive, mate. There's absolutely nothing that I can say except that I am extremely, extremely impressed, mate. Great job.
I like to say congratulations to Schumacher as well for being on the back as well behind me. Done a phenomenal job coming in 2nd, so congratulations to him.
Actually, on that note, there's one thing I do want to ask you about, Herbie. On one of the mid-race restarts, you were there behind the Red Bulls, and the entire top 3 all just kind of had a really bad start. You leapt ahead of the Ferrari and nearby both and past the Red Bulls before they crashed. How in the world did you time that out so perfectly?
Oh, I had a really good start coming off the apex of the final corner, and I got just as alongside with Schumacher as we started accelerating off. The traction were there for me, and I was there side by side with Schumacher. Then Zola had his teammate, I can't remember his name, and unfortunately his teammate collided with Zola and it forced him off. Then I kept my traction going round turn 1, and then that's what gave me the go-ahead to get in front of Schumacher for into turn 2.
Well, it worked out, mate, and in the end, a podium position. I am just ecstatic on how you pulled that out, mate. I'd love to see you pull off some more runs like this in the future. Great drive out there.
Fingers crossed, mate. Thanks ever so much.
All right, now real quickly, we want to talk with our 2nd place finisher, Schumacher SF7. Well, Schumacher, another 2nd place finish, but you're not behind your title rival today. Instead, your title rival crashed out lap 3 of the event. What do you have to say about your run today?
Stressful. Very stressful. Yeah, bloody rain made it difficult, but just kept going, plodding along, and then safety car, people hitting people hitting me up the arse under safety car, which I don't get why that people don't give enough gap, but okay. Yeah, it's just a bit silly that happens, but several times that happened, but. And then just drove the car home, really. That's all I can say.
All right, well, with this win, well, not win, but it's going to probably feel like a win. With the 2nd place finish, you will almost have 2 full races worth of points in your favor. So do you think it's a possibility that you could lock up the championship maybe a race early or something like that?
It's too early to say. If this Dragonborn guy keeps showing up, then I don't think I have a chance. Because he's got some bloody pace in that car. So, but Habago crashed out, and then Mantic Meerkat tried to hold me up and do every tactic in the book to try to slow me up. And I just got him on the restart, and then he come around, tried to go around the outside T1, and I just said, "Nah, close the door on him. Weren't having that." And then just drove the car home. Really, that's it. That's big shout out to my teammate. No, if he didn't get a 5-second penalty speeding in the box, he would have finished in 4th. So.
Well, it still would have ended up. It's still a great points day as well for the team effort as well. In fact, real quickly, I am a little bit curious to hear what he may have to say. I'll try to send him an invite into the party.
Yeah.
But great job on the second place finish, Schumacher. One more person I want to talk to real quickly is Zola. Zola, go ahead and include your audio. Last week, I thought he joined. It said that he joined the party.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Zola, go ahead, make sure your audio is included. Last week, you said, "Oh no, I'm still don't have any chance of the championship unless the top 2 start making mistakes." Well, for a second week in a row, we've seen the McLaren at least make mistakes, and the Ferrari's not able to fully capitalize. I think you're in this fight still, mate. What do you have to say about your run today, though?
Well, I'm not in anymore because I'll be about 70, 80 points behind. And I say, after turn 1 incident, I boxed to fix my broken wing. The game doesn't fix my broken wing, which means I did the 20 laps with the broken front wing, and still set the fast lap of the race at 1 point. I was 3rd for the entire race. I should have been a podium there easily. A podium. Well,
Do you think there was any way you could have potentially gotten by Dragonborn near the end there, considering that you had such incredible pace in the first half of the run?
Yeah, I was being held up by them 2 fighting at the start of the race. For the first 10 laps of the race, I was the fastest car on the circuit. I was stuck behind them 2 cars. I couldn't get past them. So I don't think he's the fastest guy in there. I think Rabarga's still fastest with Schumacher and that. I think Dragon's about the same pace as me.
Is Herbie involved in this? Joking.
When you wasn't in the lobby for 5-6 laps.
It glitched me out. I don't know why it glitched me out.
I'm trying to help when your AI is doing some of the race.
It glitched me out. I thought I was in the race. I was still racing and everyone started leaving. I was like, no, what's happening?
No, when everybody leaves the race, it's kind of a big hint. They're like, yeah, you're not in the lobby, mate. But, yeah.
I was asking Snake
Thanks,
to
baby.
let me know what's happening.
Was that before or after he died?
After he died.
All right.
Yeah.
By the way, Zola, shame that couldn't have come home in a proper podium, but I do want to say, yeah, I do agree. You definitely probably were the fastest person, at least in the first half of the race. Kind of a shame that little bit of a hiccup with your teammate kind of took you out there. But this, I think at least, this says there should be more good things in the future for you, mate. So I at least am going to keep my hopes high for you going forward.
Good, mate. Yeah, that's really
All right.
interesting one.
All right, one more person to talk to. That'll be XRL Flavor. Flavor, you're going to come home in 5th place overall. Does this kind of soothe the ache off of what happened last week at Spa?
Yeah, a little bit. But I still made mistakes today. I mean, I made a mistake on the start. I jumped it. So that was a drive through. Made a mistake in the pits where I was behind AK Obi's car in because he was disconnected. And I just missed the line. Stupid mistake. So that gave me a 5 seconds, which lost me the 4th place. But no, I enjoyed it. It was a good race. I say it's good to compete in it, to be up that sort of end of it. So yeah, I'll just keep going and try my best, really. But yeah, it was a good race. Congratulations to the podium and to Mantic as well for grabbing 4th.
All right, well, with that in mind, I'll pretty much wrap up our broadcast here after a very soggy, wet race in the Netherlands. Shocking that we actually had more than 10 people finish a race here. I cannot believe that happened. In about an hour's time, though, if you want to see more racing at the Netherlands, which I highly recommend if you just want to see chaos, you can check out the X2 race. That will be covered by, I believe, XRL Zola in the broadcast booth. Next week, XRL goes to Monza, the Temple of Speed and the home of Ferrari. That will be an interesting race to check out. But Until next time, I have been your host for this race, Insane Leader 13. I was joined by Axel Shikari, who was nice enough to cover qualifying for me. Thank you very much for jumping in, and until next time, goodbye.